All right, guys, for your next project, you're going to be learning some photo retouching things in Photoshop. Again, Photoshop is for photos, whereas Illustrator is for illustrations, shapes, text, line. Photoshop is a good tool to use to retouch photos you want to put into your designs and do some stuff. Today, we're going to be talking about the selection tools, the spot healing brush, and the clone stamping brush, as well as content aware. Content aware is good when our background layer is locked. I can unlock it by double clicking and it creates a new layer. We want to keep it locked. So I'm going to Command Z and keep this background layer locked. All right. First things first, this is our selection tools. We have a rectangular, elliptical, circle, single row, single column, the lasso tool, and the polygonal lasso tool. The lasso tool is a tool that you can free select. The polygon lasso tool will go straight lines. The marquee square, so I can crop an image to that particular dimension. And there's also a crop tool here where I can go up and crop some images to 5:7. I can rotate those images inside my crop, so I don't want to do that quite yet. All right, but I can switch it to 7:5. All right, so we're going to crop this image to 7:5. All right, and we're going to click off of this to our spot healing brush. It's going to ask us if we want to crop the image. We're going to click crop, and then that takes away some of these marks. You notice that this photo has cracks and marks in it. We're going to try to restore this photo. It's a little bit faded. We're going to restore its contrast later on. All right. Contrast is in our adjustments layers. You guys can fiddle around with that. That should be done last because I don't want to if I want to take the brightness down and the contrast up, I don't want to make the images, the cracks and stuff darker quite yet. I'm going to wait till I'm done. All right. The spot healing brush is nice because you can make this larger or smaller. You can change the hardness and the size of this brush. All right, and then what the spot healing brush does, you run over some of the cracks, and because content aware is on, content aware is a feature in Photoshop where it'll take the image's surroundings and kind of assess what the surroundings look like, and it's going to heal the spots that you corrected based on its surroundings. These are good for small little areas like these little cracks that have white space around them. But I'm going to use the spot healing brush for the small stuff. Some of this other things that go over Abe Lincoln's head and his jacket. See, if I go over this, it makes a little bit of a blob here, and we don't want that. All right, we're going to use another brush called the clone stamping brush. The clone stamping, again, is you can change the size and then the hardness of the brush. I'm going to go about 60 pixels. And the clone stamping will clone an area that you select, and you can heal areas. So let's work on his jacket right here. His jacket, if I hold Option down, you see this little cursor that comes up, and I'm going to use this area right here to clone this area down here. I'm going to make my brush just a little bit smaller, maybe half the size, about a 30. And I'm going to suck up this color right here, and as I move down, it's going to clone that area up there. And this is good for little tiny things. Hold Control over here, and I'm just going to slowly move across. See how the cursor as I'm coming up, there is a little cross where it is. That's what we want. That's what we're cloning. Again, I can use this in all areas of the photo. I can clone this left side right here and match. See how it matches up right there? Zoom out, and I'm starting to restore this photo and take out all the cracks. This is good for small areas like this. All I want to do is get rid of these cracks. Get rid of these cracks in his face. You'll notice if I go over his eye, I can stamp wherever I select my first stamp. It'll go from that location, and then it'll slowly follow along where I selected. All right, use this sparingly. It's going to be a very helpful tool for you, and it's meant to repair tiny little things. Every time you click, then it'll register what I did. If I were to just hold it down and continue going, it's going to continue taking the area that I cloned. I'm constantly reassessing and readjusting where I'm going to be taking some material from, and the crack is now healed on his face. Your job is to restore this photo, take all the cracks out. You can select big selections, make sure content aware is on. If I select big areas here, it's on my background. Sometimes I'll just click delete and make sure content aware is on, and I click OK. Sometimes it'll take huge sections and fix them. So it took this section about here to the left and it healed it. If I click off of this now and back to my spot healing brush, all right, make sure content aware is clicked up here. That's going to be your biggest helper. All right, so we're going to restore this photo. Let's pretend this photo is restored 100%. All the cracks and rips are cleaned up. I'm going to go then to my adjustments layer, and I'm going to fiddle with the brightness and the contrast. I'm going to make this photo, I'm going to take up the brightness just a little bit. I'm going to make it a little bit more add a little bit more contrast so I can make the darkers a bit dark, or the dark areas a bit darker. All right. Again, spot healing brush, clone stamping brush, your selection tools you might need. If there's an area that I want to zone in on, I might use my polygon lasso tool. When I do my final connection, this area is selected. So if I use my clone stamping tool and I click this area, I can get up real close to the line and it's not going to select anything. It's not going to edit stuff outside of this selection. All right, if you have any questions, please ask me. Refer to this video, and happy editing.